Hello, my name is Charles Roberts. I'm the creator of the concept in American shaving called method shaving. And this is our second major segment in the Mastering Method Shaving series that we're working on. And today we're going to cover two subjects. The first is one that is important to understand regarding what I call the two schools of method shaving. The other is going to be, we're going to cover priming and buffering the mix before it's actually cut on the face. But at this time I'd like to provide some information and an explanation on the two schools of method shaving. There's a lot of confusion about this, what these two schools are, why there are two schools, and what they actually involve. The two schools of method shaving fall into a couple of distinct categories. First, they're distinguished by the double edge and the long blade, what we call straight razor. 95% of method shavers are using a double edge blade. The other 5% approximately are using what we call a long blade, straight razor. The long blade straight razor is called the low velocity school. The double edge segment is called the high velocity school. And basically what we mean by that is that the school that uses the low velocity long blade is using a very, very slow mix that's highly buffered, which means it's slower, it's thicker, it cuts more slowly, it's less active, has less water. The high velocity double edge school was one that uses very high concentrations of water, a very narrow, thin substrate, and cuts very quick and very close. These two schools are also distinguished by the use of two other implements. The low velocity school uses a shaving brush. The high velocity school uses the cloth. As far as the mixes are concerned, generally speaking, the mix that is used for the low velocity school is either a shaving primer in the form of a round or the thicker cube. The high velocity school typically uses my traditional 300 gram olive oil cube that's been around for about 15 years now. It's important in this respect to understand that all of these hard soap primers can be used for either one. You can use a shaving round, the 400 gram thicker cube for high velocity shaving. Certainly you can use the 400 gram cube, the high velocity cube for low velocity shaving with a long blade. It depends on how the mix is actually created, applied, and cut. And I'll cover that in a later video. Again, we are talking here two different blades, two different mixing mechanisms, and generally speaking, two different forms of priming cube. The standard olive oil cube, it was the original one from years ago for high velocity reduction, and then we've got our rounds and our other larger, slower cubes for the low velocity school. The procedure is simple. You simply load the brush for the low velocity approach. You load the brush off the primer. You pack some paste into it, a little bit of paste. You go back, you hit your cube one more time, you put up your mix and you cut it. This is called the prime, load, prime sequence. The brush is extremely wet. You prime up, drop some paste down into the breech of the brush, go back, hit your cube one more time, put up your mix, and proceed to cut. For the cloth, the cloth is primed up off the priming cube, loaded with cutting balm and some activator. The mix is extracted, stretched, and cut, and that will be the segment that we will move on to in our next feature in just a moment to show you how that is done exactly. Thank you.